Hello, I'm Cynthia Marks, and I head up the Holistic Psychoanalysis Foundation established by my late husband, Dr. Bernard Bale. Welcome to And Now Love. Adonai Melendez is in the studio today. He is currently a trainee with Homeboy Industries and working to become fully reintegrated back into society. I bet you're curious. Adonai has bravely and wholeheartedly offered to share his fascinating story with us. He and I hope that you, our listeners, will be absolutely moved by his transformation from a life of pain and fear and anger, and that's putting it mildly, to one of empathy, compassion, and love. If this man found a way to make giant leaps for the better, then the rest of us can too. So let's hear what he has to say. Welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you for being here. This is really a treasure, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say. And I have some questions here, and I may stick to them, and I may go off track. But start with where you are now. You're at Homeboy Industries, and just fill us in a little bit about what Homeboy Industries is.
I am in Homeboy Industries. I'm a trainee. Homeboy Industries is an organization that was founded by Father Greg Boyle. And Homeboy Industries is a organization that helps ex-gang members primarily for resources and other things that formerly incarcerated folks like myself are in need of, be it funds, programming,
Education.
education. It's a wraparound program that gives us opportunity to reintegrate back into society, not just have positive interactions with people, but also establish ourselves with careers and just be fully integrated back into society and our loved ones.
Great opportunities.
Yes.
So, in order to take part in what Homeboy Industries has to offer, do you have to come from incarceration?
No, 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 of course not. Anybody's welcome. Homeboy is faith based and love based. Whoever comes through those doors is more than welcome to receive help. If we could provide it, we will.
It's a lovely thing, and it's so easy to feel that energy when you're in the Homeboys space. It's almost electrifying. I remember being there and thinking, oh my gosh, there's sort of so much tenderness and truth here. You just feel like everyone has fallen into some safe arms. So thank you for helping that move on. And so today you're doing that, and you're also doing some other important work. So tell us a little bit about that too.
Okay, so I'm currently interning as well in the office of the District 57, which is South Central, downtown LA, which is here, and parts of Watts.
Big district.
Yes, it's huge. It's just almost impossible to get all of it.
Yeah. And to try and figure out how to wrangle that, I don't
Yeah.
know.
And so I'm currently a field liaison for the reentry part of our district. I'm starting it. I'm barely getting myself in more involved and entrenched in that because I'm formerly incarcerated and I know the struggles that I went through, and many more behind me are going through the same thing.
So is your work in this district to help people who may have come from similar situations?
Oh yes, but and not just that, just to help out the homelessness and
I
and,
see.
and mental health. That's my whole mission. That's my whole purpose in life is just to give back and to help others. I found my purpose, but God has provided all the resources and opportunities for me to reach that purpose. And I wholeheartedly believe that because by me giving my will to God, I've been blessed with abundance. And I'm happy today. I have self-respect today.
What a blessing.
Yeah, it doesn't happen without my higher power.
And something inside you had to make a big shift.
Yes, yes. And speaking of that big shift, it didn't start the day that I got out of prison. It started years before that. I couldn't get past a lot of the trauma, defects that I had without the resources that the prison system started to provide for me. And by me going to classes, understanding myself, understanding what I did, why I did what I did.
Don't hear many stories about people in your position taking advantage of those programs in a good way, really. And prison system gets a bad rap all the time, and I'm sure a lot of it is deserved. But do people participate in a meaningful way in these programs, or were you a rarity?
No, there's so many people in there that I'm not gonna say deserve a second chance, because I don't know if we deserve anything, right? Because it's given by God's grace. But there's so many people in there that are suffering from traumas, and we act on those traumas. And I'm a big believer in restorative justice. I don't have the opportunity to establish my accountability for what I've done, then I'm still suffering. I'm still in pain. I'm still resentful, angry, and all that. But if I get a guide, or someone who's willing to sit with me and guide me through and teach me why I do what I do, where it all comes from, then it opens the door for empathy, love, accountability.
So when you're given that gift, when someone sees you, hears you,
Yes.
and lets you have your space without judgment, it makes it easier for you to act in kind.
Yes, and
Yeah.
and especially with the relatability. If I see one of my peers change before my eyes, and for the better, then it gives me hope that if he can do it, well, then why can't I?
Right. And now people are going to look at you.
And that's my hope.
I hope
that
so too.
that people see that I'm just like everybody else. I'm not unique. This isn't. I'm not like the smartest guy in the world. However, I do everything through love, through Jesus' only commandment: love everyone like I love him, or like he loves me.
Well, and I think, unfortunately, that operating from a place of love from true love, is a little bit hard to come by. But, we need people like you who can show us that. So could you share with us some of your upbringing and what life was like, and what was life like at home when you were a kid?
Well, life at home was very tumultuous, to say the least, for me.
Were you in Los Angeles?
Yes, we traveled a lot. I came from El Salvador at 3 years old, and from El Salvador we came to Los Angeles, and I always had a disconnect with my own mother from the very beginning. My early years were I was raised with my grandmother, and so my grandmother was my mother. So my mom came to the United States, fleeing the war as a refugee.
Did she come with you or before you?
No, she came before me,
Mhm.
and so that's why I
You connected with your
believe that my
grandmother.
grandma was my mom.
Sure.
And so when my mother came and took me, I didn't understand. So all I thought was, I'm getting taken away from my mother, from this strange
Aw,
lady.
right. And that must be a not too uncommon scenario.
No, of course not, because that's what happens. The adults come and establish themselves,
Sure.
and then once that's accomplished, they bring the children. I was never able to connect with my mother. Based on my mother's traumas, she wasn't able to connect either. And so we've always had this tension between us, even today, unfortunately.
And where was your dad during all of this?
I don't know who he is. I don't know his name. I don't even know anything about him,
And sadly, that's not uncommon either.
sadly. Yeah. So based on that, like, and early traumas, mostly with my mother, beatings, feeling emasculated mentally, physically, emotionally. It was tumultuous and traumatizing.
And was it the two of you, or were you with you
I was
weren't?
with siblings. Yeah, we have 9 in total in my family.
My goodness. So all of you were living with your
Mother
mom,
and stepfather, yes.
and your grandmother never came.
Yeah, eventually she did. I was always tense in my house. I didn't feel comfort or safety or even love. In my limited wisdom, I believe that my mom didn't love me, and so that created a resentment. And as the years wore on, I became angry, standoffish. In school, I would fight. I would be rebellious. But I loved school because school was my sanctuary. School was where I would be allowed to be away from home. I don't know if anyone can relate, but going home from school, I was terrified. It was very terrifying to me.
Because you didn't know what to expect,
Yeah.
or you knew that what you would expect would
Yes.
come true, and it wasn't a good thing.
It's like being confronted by a bear.
Oh
You
my
don't know if
gosh.
the bear is gonna walk away today, or if it's gonna attack you, or you're just waiting to see what's gonna happen and see if the bear is gonna attack.
And did your other siblings feel the same way, do you think?
They felt the same way, but not to the extent that I did. Even now today, as we talk about that, my sister even tells me, excuse the language. She said, "Bro, from the very beginning, you were screwed.
Oh,
From the very beginning, you caught the brunt of all of it."
oh
And
gosh. And where did you fall in the lineup?
I was right in the middle.
You were.
I was right in the middle. Yeah.
Probably not the best place to be.
No, no, being pulled in so many ways.
Yeah.
And so during my teenage years, that's when I exploded. That's when everything hit full circle. When I was before prison,
How did that present itself?
through the gangs. I went out. It's that push pull thing. I pushed out of the house and pulled into the gang.
And what did the gang offer that you couldn't get at home?
They provided comfort. They provided safety. They provided security. I mean, as twisted as it sounds, I believed that what I was getting from the gang was everything that I wanted in my life. Nobody had ever told me that whatever you do, we'll be here for you. Whatever you do, we will have your back. We will take care of you. And that was something foreign to me. That was alien to me.
But that must have felt good.
It made me feel that I belonged. I had an identity now.
How old were you?
At that point, I was 13.
Mm. And is that an age where gangs are looking to initiate young people?
Oh yes, even younger. I mean, when I was involved in all that, I would see kids even younger than me, 11 years old, 10 years old.
And is it easy for those people that are looking for gang members to suss out who is a potential candidate? Like you had 8 brothers and sisters. Were they also approached?
No, my story is quite unique because I was approached by my brother. We were in Oklahoma. I left that part out, but something had happened to my stepfather when we were living in Long Beach. I think he got mugged or something. And so after that, they took us all to Oklahoma.
Oh.
And in Oklahoma, that's when that's when all the beating starting, all the trauma and all that between me and my mother. And my brother got caught up in something at home and got kicked out of the house, came to California, and the little young guys that I used to know from California, they all grew up and they all became gang members. And so my brother came back to Oklahoma and told me about my old friends. And they're like, and he told me they're all gang and they all miss you. They want to talk to you. They're our old friends.
So there was a positive undertone to this.
Oh, of course. That was something that, pushed me towards not the gang, because I had really no conception of what gangs were, being that I was in school in Oklahoma, learning things in Oklahoma. Gangs to me were on TV. And so, but when he came and painted that picture of the homies, the friends, and the parties and the good times, and that was very, very
It's intriguing.
intriguing. Sure. There you go. It was very intriguing to me.
And none of the scary stuff
it was
shared.
Fun. And to be quite honest, it was fun. When I ran away from home at 13, I ran away because I had it. And I hitchhiked from Oklahoma to...
You did?
So yeah, twice.
Wow.
And so when I came to Los Angeles, I had all these people I was fully embraced, and I felt free. I felt I'm my own man now. I could do whatever I want. I'm not under anybody's thumb anymore, and I felt free. And so,
was it then fun and simple and loads of friendship for a while, and
yes,
then
yes,
you sort of get this other stuff
yes,
coming to you?
Yes. At first, fun, parties. I will start to see, the violence. And I will start to see the drug use, the drug selling. Because, back in the time where I was growing up, the crack epidemic was going crazy.
Were the gang members also users?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. I would see that all the time.
And were they somehow able to keep it under control? Because I would imagine once you start to become addicted, then you become a problem to the gang.
Yeah, erratic, and yes. No, some would, but for the most part, we would sell the drugs more than anything, but I would see some of the guys, fall into that really, really heavily.
So was it that, okay, we've brought you into our family. It's all great. We've got your back. Now here are some things you need to do for us.
In my case, it wasn't necessarily something that they asked me to do. It was something that I was willing to do.
I see.
And that because experiencing no love, no compassion, no tenderness, no care, no safety, none, any of that, to experiencing all of it in one shot, I wanted to prove to them that I was worthy, that I was willing to do whatever it took to keep that love.
And they knew that.
And they knew that. For the guys, they of course had bad intentions, negative, but they were in the same boat that I was. They were willing to do the same thing that I was because they wanted the same thing that I did. So I can't sit here and tell you that they wanted all this because they were evil or they were willing to do X, Y, and Z because that was what they wanted. They did that because of what we were taught, how we were indoctrinated and programmed. But at the deepest levels, we wanted love. We wanted comfort.
It's kind of amazing. So in general, that's how a gang becomes a gang. It's you pull on the heartstrings and bring these people in, and they supposedly have this love that they've never had before. And it's all those things that you think love is, obviously not love, but nobody in the gang is better or worse than the next person because you sort of all were
lost.
Yeah.
Well, we were all lost, and that's what I want people to know. Gang members or whoever, we don't do things just because we're evil. We do things based on our traumas, based on how we grew up, and our beliefs became warped. If I keep telling myself that, I have to do this because if I don't, this happens, then eventually I'm gonna do it because that becomes my belief, and there's nobody there to arrest that. Or bring it back. No, you have a choice. You can do something else to get that.
And I think that most of us walk through life not realizing there's a choice.
There's a choice.
We think the life we're living is the life we're living forever. And we got to stop that because we're going down the drain. I mean, humanity at large, we're doing ourselves in because we're not looking inward and finding that we are valuable. We're not looking to each other to find the best in each other. And we're not helping each other out.
See, I believe that in my instance, I felt powerless. I felt that I had no control over myself. So by me not having any of that, I'm looking outward to get it. I'm destroying lives while I'm doing it. And of course, yes, I feel powerful when I, shoot somebody or when I rob somebody or when I do whatever, X, Y, and Z. I feel powerful, but for a split second, and then it goes away.
And then is there a feeling that replaces that or nothing? Is it a feeling of repulsion or just vacuous?
After, yes. After the fact, yes. But during, I've accomplished something and I feel powerful that, I had this person cowering beneath me because I took something from him or I made him beg for his life or whatever the case. That goes away though. The day after, I still feel the same way as I did before. And so I go and do it again because I'm looking for that.
Interesting. It's almost like an addiction.
Like an addiction. And that's what it is. That's exactly what it is because I'm looking for comfort. And I'm finding it in this warped belief that I have that by me doing this, I'm getting it. But there's another way to feel powerful and keep that power. And I believe I've come to experience giving people power makes me powerful. Giving people love makes me love myself even more. And so, I've come to find out and recognize that I had it all wrong. It's not about taking anything from anybody. It's about the more I give, the more that I get because he gives me everything I need. By me giving everything of me to others, get everything I need.
You just become more and more filled with love.
Yes.
It's interesting that somehow you felt a moment of gratification when these big scary things were happening that you were in charge of and they were harming someone else. Reminds me of what you spoke about of your mom in that You know, you were always afraid to go home. You never knew what to expect. But your mom was probably in a similar position, you know, applying pressure on you and taking out whatever she was missing or whatever her trauma was on you. And then you now also carry that same reactivity, that same sort of behavior, because that's what you knew.
And going to my mother, I would do a lot of what I was doing, like a lot of the negative things that I was doing, the choices that I was making. I was doing those and blaming her because I was in that resentment.
Sure.
If you hadn't done this, I'm
I
not
wouldn't
gonna
have
do
done
this.
this.
If you had,
Yeah.
and it didn't change until I first learned forgiveness for myself. And once I learned to forgive myself, I started to think about her. And then I was able to separate what happened with how I felt when it happened. And when I separated that, I was able to build that empathy, that compassion for her, because I don't know what she went through as a child, but I know she went through a lot.
Yes, she had her own traumas to deal with in whatever way she
Knew
could.
yes, and however she knew how to deal with me being rebellious, being angry all the time, and violent. She knew how to deal with me the way that she grew up,
Right, all that she knew.
and that's all that she knew. And that and through that empathy, I'm able to have compassion for her and forgive her. I now am accountable for my actions. It's not her fault that if I do X, Y, and Z. It's not her fault that I react. It's my actions, and I'm accountable for those.
Right. When you figure out how to stop holding on to all that junk, that trash, that trauma, and you let it go from who you are, you release it, then you are who you are. You're not carrying that
I'm not a
stuff and you don't
victim
have to
anymore.
blame anybody for
Yeah.
it.
I'm not a victim.
Yeah.
You know?
So if this is hard to talk about, then just tell me, but how did you sort of spiral out of control to the place where you ended up in prison? What were a couple of the first bad things that you were asked to do, and how did you get to the place where you finally ended up in prison?
It started with a gun. My own brother. I was already heavily involved in the gangs. I was selling drugs, but it didn't turn violent until my brother handed me a gun, and he told me there's gonna be somebody coming, and he's gonna want to buy some drugs. He has money, so all you do is point the gun at him. Don't shoot it, just point the gun at him, and he's gonna give us the money. And me, obviously, I was scared, but me willing to show all of them that I was down for the hood, and willing to put in work. Or I said, okay, for sure. I got the gun, and my brother's, here he comes. I said, okay.
And why in this instance was a gun required? Or
Fear factor, yes, for the fear. Just simply because we wanted his money, and the easiest way to get it was through
yeah.
the power of a gun. And yeah, he approached us, and I pulled out the gun, and I didn't have to say anything. He just threw the money and ran. And so that made me feel powerful. That was like, oh,
I am in
this
charge.
is it right here. Yeah. Once I got introduced to that, there was no going back. I felt so much control, and I felt on top of the world.
And then did you have a gun with you all of the time?
Yes. Oh, yes, yes. The one time that I didn't have a gun was the night that my brother had got shot. I was angry at myself that I couldn't protect him, and I believed that he had got murdered. And so in all that, I was angry. I was out of my my senses.
So he did not die?
He did not die,
Mhm.
but at that moment, I
You
believed
thought.
that he did.
Yeah.
And so,
That made the gun more powerful.
oh yes, I went to get it, and went looking for the rival, and found him, and shot him till he died. And I shot him till I killed him. Yes, and I have
I'm
to
so
live with that.
sorry.
I have to live with that.
And at that time, how old were you?
16,
Mm. How old was your brother?
18.
Such children.
Yes, yes.
After you murdered that young man, who was what? He was 16, 17 himself?
He was 18. He was a young man as well.
Was it not long after that you were discovered?
Yes, it was like about a week or two. I didn't feel remorseful. I didn't feel bad about what I did. I just felt bad about getting caught. I felt bad that my life was over, and so this is how lost I was. I didn't really care that I was arrested because my life was, I felt hopeless anyways. So when I got arrested, it felt, well, better than being at home.
My gosh. And in a way, you would still have similar comrades.
Exactly, it's
Mhm.
still free, and so it really didn't matter. Based on that, I was a kid. I didn't, my consequential thinking wasn't as developed,
Sure.
and so I was just thinking about tomorrow, and tomorrow was better than being home, better than being over there. And they opened the door for me to do whatever I wanted, be as violent as I wanted, be as hurtful and harmful.
Do you mean before you were in prison or
After,
both?
well, actually both, but after it was like I got worse because these are now people who are violent or scary, who are teaching me about other things.
Did you get worse because you really needed to protect yourself and so you had to appear to be or become a
Of
big
course,
scary guy?
yes. Well, actually, I'm not a big scary guy. I'm a little guy, and so and I'm not Mexican, so being that I'm from another race, I guess you could call it, and I'm not a big guy.
You were already at a loss?
I had a loss, so I had to overcompensate and show everybody, well, I have to be this, and I have to do this, so you don't mess with me. And so, like, the first month in prison, in a regular prison yard, I was already in prison, in jail, I went to the hole for violence against another individual. This was in 1997, and the ball started rolling after that. It got progressively worse and worse. Got myself caught up in the prison politics and gangs in there,
And I want to talk about that, but what was the conviction process like? They found you, you were put in jail right away. Did you have a proper trial?
oh, everything was proper. Everything from the beginning, they got it right. Like with the little discrepancies, but all in all, they got it right. But me being callous, me not caring about anybody else. No, Your Honor, it wasn't me. I didn't do it. I didn't have the guts to stand up and own up to it. Knowing their families, their sufferings, and still, now that I'm thinking back, is I hurt them so bad, so much. It's like an eternal pain that I created for this family.
And what was your sentence?
15 years to life.
Mm.
Originally, it was 25 years to life, but I appealed, and based on a discrepancy in the laws, it was lowered down to 15.
And when it's 15 years to life, is it likely 15 years?
No, it's likely life.
Really?
Yes, because through the governors of the past, they were not letting anyone go. The board of prison terms were not letting people go. To give full accountability, there were opportunities because I saw, very few, but I saw people go home. But they went far and beyond whatever it was required. Us lifers, we didn't have that. We didn't have the necessary schooling, the resources. We didn't have classes. We didn't have any of that.
So that was otherworldly. That
That's
can happen
yes.
to that person, but never to me.
Yes, because based on Bill Clinton's stuff on crime bills, the crack epidemic, Pete Wilson's three strikes, all these laws that opened the door for mass incarceration. The prison system was getting overran with inmates, and so they were picking and choosing who to give these classes to, who to give this work, who to give these opportunities to. Me being a lifer, the attitude was, well, he's no good anyways.
There's no point in trying to rehabilitate.
Just keep him in the cell and give him his TV and keep him as comfortable as we can because he's gonna die in here anyways.
So then for the first many years, you figured out how to adapt to where you were,
Yes,
become
more callous,
more
more angry,
callous,
more violent.
someone that people would fear.
Mm-hmm.
And you became, as you just mentioned, involved in the politics of the prison.
Mm-hmm.
And what is that?
Or the prison politics are rules or a group of people who establish these rules,
Prisoners.
prisoners, and we follow these rules to keep ourselves safe from other prisoners, right? And usually it's people of our own race. Whites stick to the whites, Hispanics with the Hispanics, blacks to the blacks.
So that's a rule.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And what happens if you cross over the line?
Bad things, very, very bad things. Riots. I lost my eye in a riot. There's an established rule that you stick to your own, and by sticking to your own, you're relatively safe.
And is there then in these individual groups a hierarchy, a government of sorts?
Yes, in any group, in any group, even in caveman days, there was a hierarchy. So that's just inherent in human beings. We want to follow someone who's going to lead us in the right way. And based on our indoctrination, based on our programming, based on our beliefs, the more violent the individual, the more respect he gets. And so those are the people we follow.
And is that respect coming from fear? Is it real respect? Is it, I've got to figure out how to be like this guy, as violent as he is, because that's the only way I'm going to survive?
Yes, that's clearly what it is. It's no love. We call it love, but it's not love. It's fear. And it's all fear-based. Everything that we do in there is fear-based. Because if I don't do something, this is going to happen to me. If I don't participate in a riot, this is going to happen to me.
You can't just stand back, say, count me out.
No, there's no way. Especially in yards or in prison yards that are overran with gangs. It's basically we don't have our own voice. It's a voice of a collective. If the collective says we're gonna do this, then we're gonna do this. The one voice that says no is gonna get overran by the collective.
So was there some comfort to be found in just working within the system, within the politics? Could you get some rest once you knew that you were only on board to follow the rules?
Yes, and I'm taking extremes because prison, you make it what it is. I went in and I went in violent, so I made prison violent for myself. But I didn't have to. I had a choice. I had a choice to, sit back and not involve myself, which a lot of people do.
How do they operate when they fall out of this system of rules?
They go to different yards. They ask the officers, I don't want to be in this environment. Please take me out of this environment. There's different yards for that. When I started my term, there weren't opportunities like that. Everybody went to that yard, and good luck.
I see.
But as the years wore on, the prison system wanted to establish yards where people do have a choice to leave the gangs and go and not be a gang member or not participate in any wrongdoing and focus on going home and their personal growth. So there were opportunities for that. But me being young, being involved in all this madness, I was too consumed with what people thought of me if I was to go to a different yard to do anything but stay.
I see. That would have shown that you were weak or
a coward or
yeah,
we're taught to believe.
And you were amongst a group of people who obviously felt the same way.
Exactly. So I took comfort in that. I took comfort in, well, at least I'm with solid people. And it didn't change until I started seeing guys go to group, go to these resources that were available to lifers like me, people like, that are murderers.
So what happened to give you a view? What happened in your mind or in your set of feelings to say, hey, wait a minute, I don't have to be this 100% violent, closed up guy.
I'm interpreting that as you're asking me for my aha moment or for the moment of
yeah,
internalization, what I did.
Because it seems like a giant shift.
Yes, it's a paradigm shift, right? If you will. What happened was I was in a visit. I was in visit with this young lady. She came to visit me. We had become real good friends, and her husband had passed away, but she never wanted to tell me how her husband died. And so finally, we were talking, and she brought her son, and her son has autism. And so we're talking, and I asked her, like, tell me about your late husband, because you're always speaking of him, and you're always speaking highly of him, and I'm curious what happened. And so she said, okay, um, okay, I could talk, I could tell you. And she's telling me the story of how her husband got murdered, a walk-up gang-related shooting that took his life. And as she's telling me this, I'm seeing her change from this beautiful young lady into this sad, lonely woman with a child that she's burdened with. That right there, like, it hit me so much because I saw my victim's mother in that moment, and I was like, wow, this is what I did. This is the evil that I created in this world, and that touched me. It changed me.
I can't imagine. Just hearing you say that is heartbreaking.
And so I went back to the cell, and it stayed with me. And so that day, I was like, I wasn't very religious, but I knew God existed because He had gotten me out of so many so many things. And so I prayed. I said, God, I can't do this no more. I can't do this. Look what I did, and this lady, she didn't deserve that. And Victor's mom didn't deserve that. That's my victim, Victor Medina. I want to honor him.
Thank you.
And yeah, so I couldn't do it anymore. And so things started to change inside me when I'd go out to the yard and I'd see people getting hurt, stabbed, and I wouldn't see it the same anymore. Whereas before I would see, oh, well, he messed up. Oh, well. Now I'm seeing, man, his mom, what's going to happen when they tell his mom that her son almost got murdered, or how's his sister going to feel? How's his wife? Does he have any kids? I was starting to think about the repercussions of what's going on.
Feelings
That started pulling on me, and it got to where I don't even want to see that anymore. I don't want to know about that anymore because I don't want to be a part of that anymore. It's too hard for me. It's it's just too. I got tired. I got tired of all of it.
Weren't you afraid of undoing what you had become? In that,
No,
would you be hurt?
no, because by then I was already exhausted. By then I was already to the point where I'd rather be dead than be involved in this. So being hurt, it's just part of
Didn't
it.
matter.
It's
Just
just part of it.
come after me, but I'm
I'm
not
done.
doing this
So I
anymore.
went, yeah, and I went to the yard, and I talked to the guys, and I told them, look, bro. And this was like about a year after that incident with the visit. So it took a while. It took, it wasn't as spontaneous, but that moment where I saw that and I connected it and internalized it, is I know that's the moment that I changed. I know that's the moment that I didn't want this. It took a while for me to finally, uh, uh, drum up the courage to go out to the yard and talk to the guys and tell them, don't count on me, bro. Don't count on me. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not gonna do this anymore. And they were okay with it. And surprisingly, they say, you know what, that's fine. We respect it. Just don't count on us. If something happens to you, we're
You're
not
on
gonna
your
be there.
own.
You're on your own. And I was okay with that. I was okay with that because I didn't want to be violent anymore.
Did this mean then that you moved to another yard?
Yes, and then I went. I voluntarily went to the office afterwards, and I told the officers that I don't want to be part of this anymore. I'm ready to change myself and my life, and I don't want to be a part of this. And so yeah, I went to another yard where there were gangs, but I wasn't part of anything anymore.
And it was acceptable there.
Yes, to not be part of any of that. And so I was free. I was free of that. And so since I was free of that, now it left open me to focus on me. and not worry about what anybody else thought, because I wasn't going to be in any danger if I went to church or if I went to a program or anything. So it was more about, how am I going to fix what I broke? And I thought it was going to be helping others, right? Like doing good for others, but it didn't start like that. It started with fixing me, and fix was broken in here. And the groups that I was going to were pretty profound. But let me backtrack a little bit, because I didn't go to the groups originally to change. I saw my ticket home because I saw guys going home through these groups. The groups that were there were, to me, they were just people talking about their feelings. And
You didn't maybe see that there were different types of people in these groups, people who were really changing because of their involvement versus people who were just playing along.
playing along, yes.
And you thought, all I have to do is show up,
And
they'll
put my
see
name
I've
on the
been
attendance
here,
sheet. Mm-hmm.
and I'm out. But somehow, somewhere along the line, when you're at the other end, it can be discerned whether you were really in it or on the
Yes.
sidelines.
And at first I was on the sidelines. At first I was, but then I started hearing testimonies. I started hearing people talk, and I started hearing my story. I started hearing myself in what these people were saying, and I started to really think, well, maybe I'm not as different. Maybe I'm not as unique, and maybe there is hope for me too in hearing these stories, because, well, this guy was just as violent, or this guy, he was just as much of a liar as I was. Oh, he was more than a manipulator than I am. But now look at him. I can actually see him out in the yard helping people, being friendly. And so I'm thinking, man, if he could do it, maybe I'm not as lost as I thought I was. And so, I would talk to him, I would talk to other guys, and the profound insight that they had, it blew my mind. And I was, in my mind, I would never get to where they're at, but at least I'm gonna be decent, and that's what I want to do. I want to be a decent human being. Going to the groups, gave me a little bit of more courage to speak up, to talk about me, to talk about my traumas.
And you didn't have the pressure anymore of
And I didn't
having
have
to
the pressure.
protect yourself.
Exactly.
First and foremost, from the very beginning when you were at home as a little kid.
Exactly.
All the way up.
So, I was carrying all that.
That's a big deal to let go of, really.
Yes.
To say, I'm going to walk this walk, and I'm not going to be thinking, number one, about how do I protect myself.
Or who's watching me. Or
Yeah, and then you can open all these doors because that was your full-time job, right? Really safety.
protecting myself,
Yeah.
and defending myself against
Whatever you thought it would be.
fear that I thought, and come to find out, it was me all along. People didn't care about me; they were worried about themselves. But I was so caught up in what other people thought that I forgot about what I thought about me, and I forgot me in the process. Now it was different. Now I focus on me and not caring about what they think, because I'm important. I matter, and if I don't matter to anyone, I matter to myself. And so that, that's that self-love that I was developing for myself was empowering.
Yeah, you want more.
I want more. And not only do I want more, I want to give it away.
Yeah. Well, so you saw these people who had been in positions much like yours, and now they were trading that in for going out in the yard and helping someone who needed help, feeling some amount of a different kind of empowerment from that.
Oh my God. And when I started doing that, and it's funny, because when I went to board, the commissioner asked me, he said, there's people here that come and say your name, say who, that you helped them. What do you get from that? And I told him, at first I thought I was gonna get pride, because I'm helping people, look at me. But no, I actually got more humbled. I actually felt more humble, and knowing that I'm helping to enrich somebody's life through my compassion and through my friendliness. It's humbling. It makes me want to do more, because I'm giving instead of taking.
And even if you were doing it for a prideful reason, look at me, I'm helping these people. I mean, that's not really love.
And I believe that there's healthy pride and there's
Sure.
unhealthy.
You should feel pride for all that you're doing, of course, but it's not the motivator.
No, of course not. The motivator for me is love, and I think I started out with Jesus' one and only commandment: love others like He loves me. And that, I mean, if I do that, I can't go wrong. He loves me, even though I killed another individual. He loves me even though I sold drugs. He loves me even though I did all these crazy things and harmful things. Through all that, He still loves me. And if He has that amount of love for me, then I know I'm capable of having that amount of love for anybody. It doesn't matter who.
And it is, as Homeboys says, you are not your trauma. You are not the bad acts. Those are not you.
We're not defined by our acts. I'm not defined by what I did. I define myself by what I'm doing today forward. That's how I define myself.
Because that's coming from love.
It's coming from love. And if it's not from love, then I don't want it. I don't want to help somebody because I'm gonna get something in return.
Mm-hmm. You can feel the difference.
I know. Yeah, yes, right. And when I help somebody and I walk away, I don't do it because it's the right thing to do. I do it because it makes me happy.
Yeah.
Because it fulfills me. And that's all I've ever wanted.
And that's what we're supposed to be doing as humans who have these feelings, who know about love. We're a community.
Yes.
We're just a big community, and we need each other.
Mm-hmm. And the people out there that are doing, committing crime or doing bad acts, they do that based on their defects. They do that because they're trying to protect themselves, their traumas, their hurts, their pains, their fears. They do that because they want comfort, but they're doing it in a negative way.
Mm-hmm. They're going out into the world with the only tools they have.
The only tools they have. And I want to say there are other tools that you can learn, and there are other ways, and we have choices. Regardless, we have choices.
And so many of us, like I said earlier, we just walk the path that we've always walked, not even thinking that there is a fork in the road and that you might actually walk down that other path. We just deal with the cards we were dealt.
Because we're comfortable.
We are, but that doesn't mean that that is who we really are. We're just carrying all the weight that we've been given, and we don't have to. We don't have to. And underneath all of that is a worthy, admirable little kernel of love.
And we all have it. We all have it. We're all capable of bringing that out. It's just we have to peel that onion. We have to get through all of it.
So is that what you did in the process of getting yourself out of prison? Was
yes.
You learned enough and you peeled away the onion, and when you spoke to the people who were in charge of making decisions on your behalf, it finally came from a place of absolute honesty.
Oh, yes.
And they obviously could see that you had become what you were describing you had become, and that you weren't just playing a game.
They know. That's their livelihood. They get paid to do this. But not only do they get paid to do this, it's their obligation to protect society from.
Sure.
Right. And so they're well versed on who's radio, who isn't. And
were you surprised when your time finally came? How many tries did you make at this?
8 tries.
8 tries over the course of years?
Over the course of 27 years, 26 years.
How long were you in prison?
30 years and 9 months.
My goodness.
Yeah. So see, when I went in this last time, and I'm telling you this with all honesty, it really didn't matter to me if I was let go or if I was going to stay in there forever. There's a difference between being liberated and being free. I was free already, so it didn't matter where I was. I was living decent anyways. So that didn't matter, because when I die, I know I'm going to die a decent man, regardless of where I'm at.
What a treasure.
And it is. I carry that and I protect it every day through my works, every day. If the board was to say, well, we don't believe it, right? Okay, that's fine. That's your opinion, and I respect it.
And so you were going to stop trying after that?
No, I mean, of
You
course,
would keep
I was
trying?
gonna keep trying, but
It didn't matter.
it didn't matter.
And how long have you been liberated?
A year, and June 25th of 2024 was the day that I got free, got liberated, and so it's now June, July, August, September.
Do you still wake up and think, wow?
Yes, I do, and I never want to lose that. I would never want to lose that.
Was the world a surprising place?
It was more scary than anything. It was so big. Everything is so fast. Things are so different out here. There's more color. Yeah, in there it's just blue and gray.
Interesting.
And here, out in the world, it's like I'm actually seeing colors.
I never thought about that. And sounds and smells and
The first time that I've felt a rose petal, I used to draw roses, and when I saw the actual rose and the drawing that I would draw, and I would compare them as, oh, I got it right. Oh, I got this little, I got this little fold. Oh yeah, I got that right too. And now I'm actually holding one and touching one. It's
things are so precious.
30 years of not being able to touch the bark of a tree. I was touching it, and an officer walks by me, and automatically I pull my hand back like I was doing something wrong. But as I was touching it, I was like in awe, like, man, I'm actually touching a tree.
We all need a little more of that.
Oh man, yes we do.
So now, did you go directly to Homeboys? Did you have friends or loved ones to?
No, I had no one. A week prior to getting out, I was talking to God. I was thinking, I'm free. I have my purpose, and my purpose is helping others and really, really engaging in someone else's freedom, like mine. But I had no idea of how I was going to accomplish that. And so, in my conversation, I told him, "This is your will now. I'm giving this to you because mine was was garbage. I ran us into the dirt. I was no good at driving.
Don't look to me for making the decision.
I was no good at driving. The car is all mangled and destroyed. I can't do this no more. I need you. Teach me and I will obey you. I will obey." And I told him, but I want to help people, but I want to do the opposite of what I was doing. Instead of taking, I want to give. Us, lifers, we have to come out and not have to, but is strongly advised or encouraged to go to transitional housing for 6 months. And throughout those 6 months, the program's supposed to help us. And so I'm there 3 weeks, and I'm just sitting there, in my room, doing nothing, wondering what I'm going to do today. I get a knock on the door, and one of my friends tells me that there's this lady that is running for state assembly, and we want you to help her. Do you think that you could go and help her with her campaign? I was like, God, there you are.
I'm in.
Yes, and then I said, yes, for sure. Community service. That's what I want.
Yeah.
And so he said, okay, go ahead. Here's the address. And I got lost, obviously. I jumped on the bus and I went, I don't know where, and I got lost. I went late, but the girl that was the secretary, she said, oh, we were waiting on you. I'm going to take you to her. So she took me, and there she was. And she said, okay, you're the guy that, crew sent? So, yeah. Didn't ask me any questions, nothing. She already knew that I was formerly incarcerated, but she didn't ask for what. She just knew that I wanted her help. And I met her and her foster daughter that day, and gave me the script, and we went and knocked on our first door, and the rest is history. We fought, and I participated so much in community service. She opened my eyes to so many opportunities that I could have to do what my purpose is. And there were so many instances that I know it's God. I know it. He provided so many opportunities for me, put so many things in my way that allowed me to have a bigger platform to look. Even here, this is God right here. This is love right here.
Yeah.
He put this together. I had nothing to do with it.
Well, we need your voice.
Now I'm interning with the district office. I'm also a liaison for the reentry part of the office.
Amazing. And clearly you believed in her goals and what
Oh
she
yes,
wanted for her
yes.
community, and you could take part in that.
She's my my savior. I know she's gonna hear this later, but she is. This lady, I have so much respect for her because she didn't care. You know, she just saw someone who needed help and jumped in.
Share her name.
Her name is Sade El Hawari.
Thank you so much, Sade, for helping Adonai with his path.
She opened so many doors for me. She introduced me to so many people that now are friends, really good friends, and I mean powerful people. I could clearly say, you know, without God first, but without her, I'm not where I'm at. And so for about 7 months, give or take, we were in the campaign. We were fighting. We were doing what we were doing to help her win, and she did. She won. Obviously, we won like handily. But then, you know, my hard headedness. I said, okay, now we're gonna work. Now we're gonna get down to it.
Do all these things we
All
said we
these
were going to do.
things. And she's like, she said, yeah, we are, but you need to heal. You need to really get inside and change a lot of those beliefs that you grew up with, because you are worth it. You are a good person. And I was like, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. Let's go. I want to work. She said, no, I know this program that can help me and can put me in, you know, the right path. But I'm gonna go there 3 months, and that's it. Then I want to come to work. She said, okay, I'll give you that. And this program was Homeboy Industries. 3 months was what I gave her. Now I'm in there 9 months, and I'm still there.
And no reason to leave. It's
No
so
reason to
beneficial.
leave.
And you're getting to help others there.
Oh my gosh. I mean, Homeboy Industries is an awesome program, and I mean, look what it's done for me. I can't say enough. You know, I've learned a lot of business, you know, things, the little things, you know, how to be reliable, how to be responsible, how to be accountable, how to be disciplined. Every day, go to work, be on time. It's given me that self-respect of, you know, to be professional. But most importantly, it's helped me heal. It's you know, I have therapy there. I have my therapist, and she's so great. You know, Erin, she helps me. You know, when I talk to her, she gives me good insight.
It's kind of a great model for how our politics should work, how we raise our children, how we talk about our families. It's amazing. I don't know how in that world with so many people that they're helping, that they stay balanced like they do.
It's because everything comes from love and respect. Because you walk through them doors, you know, I'm not going to look at anybody different, because that person's me. You know, that community is me.
And you feel that when you walk through those doors.
Right. And when the person walks through them doors, they're not going to feel intimidated. They're not going to feel they're being watched. They're going to be welcomed. It doesn't matter who comes to those doors.
We need more of that.
I felt it, you know. And so I told her 3 months. I'm going to give you 3 months, and now I'm there 9 months. I've been there 9 months, and you know, I'm part of the 18-month program.
And you're doing both things.
Yes, yeah, and it's exhausting because I'm in school as well.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I have. I'm doing college, my college work.
I'm so impressed.
And yeah, thank you. But it's a lot. But I take it on because at the end, it's gonna be for my purpose. Yeah. It's gonna be for what I want to do for others. And I have to go through this. This is, you know, he put this in my path, and let's go.
You're doing it.
I gave my word, and let's go. The reason why I'm doing this podcast is because I want people to know It can be done, and there are options. We have choices, and we have people who are willing to help. There are people out there who do love us. And I say us because I'm part of the reentry community. I'm part of my community at large. I'm a human being, and I'm being helped. And look at the past that I have, and I'm
Yeah.
still being helped.
I mean, look at all that you've had to recover from. It's pretty potent stuff. And all of us, well, almost all of us have some amount of trauma, little, giant, whatever it is that we take with us through life. And as we said before, we don't know how to step away from that or how to make a change. We're afraid of that shift. Is your advice to really look inside yourself or look to others around you for their loving support?
My advice is this: whatever trauma that you have, it's your trauma. It doesn't matter what anybody's judgment is about that trauma. It's your trauma, and you're carrying that. It could be, in my judgment, something small, but to you, it's big. To you, it's a boulder that you're carrying.
It's molding who you are.
Who you're becoming, and you become. But no matter what, that trauma doesn't have to be carried, doesn't have to have the power that it does. The only way that you can get through that is through having love for yourself, compassion for yourself, and care for yourself. If you're able to do that, you're not going to act on that trauma. You're not going to be what people say that you are. You're going to be who you were meant to be. And you were meant to be a child of God. You were meant to be loved. You were meant to have people surround you with care and compassion and everything that we inherently have within us.
Mm-hmm. It's the human experience.
The human experience, and that's my message. You're meant to be loved, and you're meant to have love, and you're meant to be part of us. You're not excluded. You're not different.
No. So everybody, there's a way to walk your best path, and sometimes it's hard to figure out what that is or even know that it exists, but it exists. And listen to Adonai, an amazing story to tell us, and you shared so much that I'm sure was hard to share, and we really appreciate it, And thank you for doing all the good work that you do.
And thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored and humbled that
we're so happy that you're here. Thank you, and keep on listening and watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.